Hello, everybody. I want to welcome you to this broadcast. We are live right now on Facebook, on YouTube, on Periscope, on all manner of social media. I want to give everybody just a couple seconds to jump on here. I would encourage you just to share this broadcast with your friends, with your fan base, whoever you can. We're going to be talking today about something very exciting. I think for those of you that already know about this, it's going to be a very welcome refresher and informational. But also, for those of you that may not have heard of this, I would encourage you to stick around because we're going to be talking about an upcoming trip to Israel that we want to invite you to join us on. It's going to be absolutely amazing, absolutely life-changing. I have some guests here with me that I'm going to introduce to you. They're joining me from different parts of the world, actually. But before we get into this, I want to just invite those of you that are watching to tell me where you're watching from. I would love to see and to hear where you're watching from. I know there's literally people jumping on this broadcast from all over the world. I'm just looking at it here. We have obviously people from the United States and Canada and Nigeria. Hi to all the Nigerians. I know we have quite an audience in Nigeria. Ghana, India, the Philippines, South Africa, Kenya, Brazil, Indonesia, Zambia, and there's many, many more. So we welcome all of those of you that are tuning in from all over the world. At the end of the broadcast today, we're going to be answering any questions that you have as we go through. So just take advantage of the comment section there to let us know any questions that you have, and we'll get to those at the end of the broadcast today. I want to just introduce some people that are with me on the broadcast. I'm not alone. I'm here with Harvey Katz, who is joining us from Canada. He's going to be answering some of our questions about the tour today. Also, my father is on the broadcast. His name is also Dan, and if you've seen any of the promotional literature, you'll notice that he's listed there as Dan Jr. A lot of people think that's strange. They think I should be Junior. They wonder why he's Junior, because he looks like he's older than me. Well, actually, I'm the third. So my grandfather is the senior, he's the junior, I'm the third. And it's just a little bit laborious to put that number 3 after my name every time. So we've dropped that. And I've also discontinued the dynasty. My son is not named Dan. So my dad, Dan, is on the line. He's coming from South Florida. And then here in the office with me in our offices in Orlando, Florida, is Jeremy Leffler. He's sort of the one that's organizing all of this here at our offices, and he's going to be talking about some of the nuts and bolts and the practical stuff as we go through this. So this is basically how this broadcast is going to work. Hopefully now we've got a good audience that's building there. So I'm going to just give you a little bit of an overview of this trip to Israel that's coming up. And then I'm going to ask Harvey to take us through the schedule. Now, Harvey has been to Israel. How many times, Harvey?
Over 40 times.
Over 40 times. So I'd say you're a bit of a veteran. And, Harvey actually is also Jewish himself. Both of your daughters were in the military there, right?
Actually, my one daughter was in the military. My other daughter is an Israeli citizen and lived there. And I have 2 Israeli sons-in-law who are believers.
Yeah. So Harvey is no novice when it comes to Israel. So he's going to be talking a lot about the schedule, some of the sites that we'll visit, and I think you'll be really inspired. I think a lot of you will probably start packing your bags as you hear Harvey talk about that. Then I'm going to ask my dad to address some of the practical things that you're going to need to know for this trip. This is very, very important stuff. You're going to want to maybe have a pad and a pen so you can take some notes on this. And then Jeremy's going to go through the nuts and bolts as far as getting you signed up for the trip and making sure that you have all of the paperwork squared away and the practical stuff taken care of. And then we're going to answer your questions. So once again, I want to encourage you, if you have questions, as we go through the broadcast, just type them into the comments section and we will get to those at the end of the broadcast. So for those of you that are not already aware, I just want to let you know that we are planning a trip to Israel, June 8th through the 16th. We're calling it the Israel Experience. And those dates, again, are June 8th through the 16th. They should be right there on your screen. Those dates do not include travel dates. Those are additional. And I just want you to realize this is going to be the most amazing trip to Israel that you've ever had the opportunity of going on. And I say that not just, this is not just one of those Donald Trump ways of making everything sound fabulous. This is real. I really think this is the most amazing Israel trip that I've ever heard of. And I say that for several reasons. Number one, I have never seen a tour going to Israel with so many absolutely incredible people. If you have seen the lineup of speakers, I'm just looking here at this little advertisement, and I'll have them put that up on the screen also. We are going to be there, myself, Harvey, my father, who are on the broadcast right now. But in addition to that, Todd White is going to be there, Michael Dow, Eric Gilmore, Brian Guerin, Jenny Kutz, Paul Maurer, Peter Vandenberg, and then at the conference, which I'll mention a little bit more about in a moment, Paul Wilbur is going to be there, the very well-known worship leader, does a lot of Jewish worship music, very popular. Dr. Michael Brown is going to be there. By the way, Dr. Brown is here in the office today. They're recording a program for God TV, which I was actually just with him about 20 minutes ago. Wayne Hillsden, who is the former pastor of King of Kings Church. Today he leads a ministry called Firm. He's going to be in the conference. Alan Hirsch, the author and speaker. Scott Volk, Hillsong London is doing worship. There's some local Israeli groups doing the worship at the conference. So I mean, this is an all-star lineup of different hosts that are going to be on this trip all together. And by the way, those of us that are hosts on this trip, including myself and Harvey, my dad, Todd White, we are going to be with you on this trip. We're not just going to send you off to the things and then see you at a church service or something. We're going to be there with you, traveling with you. We have several stops along the way where different ones are going to share and pray. And, we'll have Todd White on that trip. I'm sure he's going to be leading everybody to the Lord. We'll probably have to get him his own car so he doesn't hold up the rest of the group. But anyway, that's that's another story altogether. But it's not just the speakers. The speaker lineup is amazing. But as I have been watching the registrants come in from literally all over the world, not just North America, but South America and Europe and Asia and Africa. I mean, I know many of these people. They are some of the most interesting, extraordinary people that I know of. And they're coming on this trip. We're all going to be together. This is going to be one of those trips where you make relationships and you make friends that will last a lifetime from literally all over the world. Amazing people, and I know that it's going to be that's going to be one of the highlights. But the second reason that this trip is really extraordinary, in my opinion, is the schedule itself. We have packed an enormous amount of quality activity into a relatively short trip. Many tours can last 2 weeks or even longer. This tour is just 9 days, but during that time, you're going to see the most remarkable sights in the land of Israel. And in addition to the tour sites, we've included an optional conference package that's a part of your registration. No extra fees are needed, and it happens in Jerusalem. We'll actually be in Jerusalem for 3 days, and during those 3 days, we will have tours in the afternoon, but in the morning and evening, there's conference sessions. Now, you can go to the conference sessions and listen to these amazing ministers from around the world, or you could use that as free time if you wanted to. You could go into the Old City, walk around Jerusalem, sleep in. It doesn't matter. We want to make this comfortable and enjoyable for you, a trip that you will never forget. And so it's really an unheard of schedule. It's a quality of trip I don't think you'll see again, maybe ever. So I would encourage you to jump on this if you haven't already, to register, to sign up, and you will be glad that you did. And so while we're on the topic of the schedule, Harvey, would you mind just tell us a little bit about what we can expect on this tour in the land of Israel?
Yes, thank you, Daniel. I think it's going to be, and I agree with you, it's going to be a whirlwind tour. You may say that we're going to run where Jesus walked, because we're going to have think of it as an overview. We're going to have a tremendous, we're going to go up the coast, we're going to arrive, of course, in Tel Aviv. We're going to work our way up the coast and see significant biblical historical sites. And that's where it gets really neat and very personal, because the things that you read about in the Bible, the mountain where Elijah called down fire from heaven, that famous story, we're going to be in that area in Megiddo. That will be, that was the capital of Samaria, and so much history, it's so rich in that area. As we come up the coast, and we're going to go across the top through the Galilee where Jesus did the majority of his ministry. We're going to be at the Mount of Beatitudes, and they're going to tell you why we believe those were the historic, authentic places. There's lots of reasons. There's lots of clues. So we're going to tie scripture and experience. We're going to put it together, and it's really rich. You will never read the Bible the same way. When you visit those places, you're going to have a visual. We're going to go up to the Golan, the highest part of the country, Mount Hermon. It's really an amazing experience to be up there, and they call that's where Caesarea Philippi is. And you're going to understand why Jesus took his disciples to Caesarea Philippi to reveal his messiahship and not to Jerusalem, where you'd think he would. So you're going to see there's reasons and historical context that will enrich your faith, that when you read the Bible, those things that have some question marks will bring some great clarity. One of my favorite things is as we come down from the north and we do a boat ride on the Sea of Galilee. I've always felt that's sometimes some of the most moving experiences. We just did a group in November, and we went out on the boat ride, and we have a worship experience out there. And we talk about, this is the very lake where Jesus walked on the water, where the disciples, caught the multitudes of fishes, and where Jesus ministered so much of his. There's so many stories, and to actually be there and to experience it gives you such a great a sense. And when we were doing some worship and devotions out on the Sea of Galilee, I have to tell you, it was a very, very rich experience. It's beautiful out there. You've got the lake and the mountain. Just gives you a really neat context for your faith. Coming down through the Jordan Valley, seeing desert, and the areas where Jesus was tempted in the wilderness. You really get a context. Like we have, it just gives you a new appreciation of dryness and the the harshness of the land and what Jesus endured for us. And of course, my favorite is Jerusalem, and that's where we're going to end up. Jerusalem is such an experience of history. It's so rich with thousands of years of tragedy, but richness, and you see just your faith coming together, coming alive in a tremendous way. But I think the exciting thing is also the people. It's always about relationship. It's not about stones. And I really think just being with an incredible group of people, if you've never been there, this is the one you want to go on. But if you've been there before, I think just building these relationships, hearing people's stories, and being enriched by what God is doing throughout the earth. We are living in prophetic days. We are living in the days just before the return of Christ. We don't know how soon, but we know that Israel is God's timepiece. So the days that we live in are very, very significant. And they're really, really powerful. So I think it's going to give us like I said, a bird's eye view, one of history and geography. It's going to really solidify your faith. There's so many things in archaeology and in the geography of the land of Israel that really pull together and say, this really happened. This is real. And yet, on the other hand, it's not just about looking backward. It's about looking forward, that Christ is coming. And we see the political events that we happen to it. I'm excited about the conference. I think there's going to be great teaching and training. So I think there's going to be a lot of pieces that come together that I have never put together on one tour. That's why I'm so excited about it. And I think that the last thing I would like to say is doing some fun recreational things, like going into the Dead Sea. That's just amazing. That's fine. You got to float. If you're going to go to Israel, you got to go into the Dead Sea. And just the natural beauty. So there's a lot of elements of a great tour with great people, with a great experience, and we hope it's a real blessing to everybody who comes and enrich their faith personally, and to really to see that God is real and that we can know Him personally. And that to me is always the most important thing. It's Jesus first to last, and I've never seen anyone come back disappointed. And I've taken many trips, and we lead trips as well. So but this one is going to be so special, and thank you, Dan, for the opportunity to join you on this trip.
Yeah, thank you, Harvey. I totally agree with some of the hot spots on your list. I've been to Israel with you at least maybe 2 or 3 times. And Caesarea Philippi, what an amazing, just eye-opener that trip was. I don't want to say too much about it because it would be a spoiler. I think that's going to be one of the highlights of the trip. But you're so right, like floating in the Dead Sea. It's like finding yourself on the surface of an alien planet. There's nothing like it in the world. And I mean, these things are really extraordinary. I mean, I've been to a lot of places. I've been to 72 different countries. And people always ask me, what's your favorite? And I say, well, it depends on what you mean. But I think when it comes to overall everything, from the spiritual to the historical to the geographical to the ministry side of it, all of it is in this trip. I think this is going to be absolutely the highlight travel experience for most people's lives. It is the trip of a lifetime. So I want to encourage you. Once again, we're talking about this upcoming trip to Israel. We're calling it the Israel Experience, June 8th through 16 this year. No, this is not 2018. This is not 2019. We are talking about just in a few weeks, not too far away from right now, June 8th through the 16th. My dad, whose name is also Dan, I don't want you to be confused, he is on the line for those of you that are just joining us. He's on Skype from South Florida. And Dad, you've been to Israel a few times too. How many trips have you taken?
I think this will be my 8th trip.
And what is your favorite spot? You heard Harvey mention some of his favorite spots. What is on the top of your list?
Well, they told me that there would be a divine encounter moment for everybody that goes there. And the first time I went, I wasn't feeling too much until one evening as we were coming up on a bus ride from Jericho up to Jerusalem. It was about sunset, and the way the sun was setting that day, it cast a real golden color glow on the white stones there of Jerusalem. And interestingly enough, the bus driver had a CD. Actually, in those days, it was a cassette tape, and he played a song called Jerusalem, Jerusalem. And everybody started to sing, and we got through the first few words of it, and then the whole bus just kind of broke down because there was an amazing sensation that I've never been able to really sense before, although I'd never been to Israel, but I felt like I'd just come home. So entering Jerusalem was the highlight for me. But there's other things, like I enjoyed camping out. We won't do it this time, but camping out in the wilderness, hiking up En Gedi, baptism in the Jordan, floating in the Dead Sea, all those are amazing, amazing things.
Yeah, and as we prepare for this, I know a lot of those who have already registered are watching right now. There's some things to be prepared for. So if somebody's watching, they've never been on a trip to Israel before, how do they need to prepare?
Well, just to piggyback off of what we were talking about, the Dead Sea, you'll probably on that day we do the Dead Sea have some kind of a little bag with an extra change of clothes in it, and maybe a plastic bag or two, because you'll need something to put your wet clothing into later. So that's an important thing. Perhaps Mr. Katz can talk to us a little bit how to dress for the weather, because we're going to different kinds of geographies, so the weather's going to change a little bit. However, being that it's in June, it's going to be sort of warm. Ladies need to be careful, though, especially around the religious sites, to keep their shoulders covered and to keep some clothing below the knee, because they're very strict on the dress. I know in the past some of the ladies have taken like a light shawl and just tied it around their waist, and when they go into the holy site, they just put it up over their shoulders. But Mr. Cass can probably tell us a little bit more about those things. I would suggest that people do not carry a fanny pack with them, because those are easily disconnected and stolen from you. When you're taking money, don't.
Plus, they look dumb.
I'm sorry?
Plus, they look dumb.
Yeah, they do quite. They look, but you know, people wear them. So what can you do? Also, don't put your money in the same place. Spread it out and put it in different pockets. Don't carry large bills. Carry small denomination bills. They love American money, so I wouldn't bother exchanging the money. You'll actually do better using American money. And I would suggest that you take a Bible, a small Bible, with you, because when you come home, you're gonna look in that Bible and see notes that you've taken from the different sites. Maybe even a notebook. I don't know if CFAN's going to provide a journal, but you'll want to take notes. You'll want to take pictures, and you want to have a camera with you. Let me think. Lunches, I think. Are you going to talk about that? The meals are provided along the way. I think probably Jeremy will talk about that, but. You want to have a little extra money for lunches, because that'll be on your own. So those are just a few basic pointers. Wear comfortable shoes. Don't wear anything that's hot. Ladies, you might want to wear something that's closed-toed, but that's not necessary. Just wear some comfortable tennis shoes or something, because you'll be doing a lot of walking. And although you don't need to be in tip-top shape, I would suggest that from now until the time we leave, you do a little bit of walking each day, just to get yourself used to the distance. Get a gym membership or something, or just walk around the block a few times a day. But get yourself used to doing some walking, because you're going to definitely do a lot of that.
Hey, Dad, can you center yourself in the camera just a little bit more? There you go.
How's
That's
that?
great. Yeah, perfect.
Okay. All right. You go over anything?
Is that it from your side?
Yeah, I think so, unless you have any other questions.
I don't. Harvey, did you hear anything that might have been left out of that, or anything to add?
Excellent. A couple of thoughts. So good footwear. So like even like with good soles and good stability, because sometimes the ground's uneven. Some people, if they can bring a collapsible walking stick, just for, depending on their mobility, can be helpful. But you want to make sure it collapses into a small stick, because when you carry it, you don't want to, you got to put it in your suitcase. But they have these collapsible walking sticks, which I think may be good. Also, when you go into the Dead Sea, depending where you go in, sometimes very sharp rocks. So you want to wear some good water wear, like on your feet, so that protects your feet. So you wear, what do they call it? Just
Water shoes or something.
Water shoes, yeah, water shoes. But again, with good support on it, because you don't want to get injured. Once you're in the water, you float, so that's not a problem. But in some places, it's very, very sharp rocks, and it can be very painful. People have found it a little uncomfortable. So I think it's just things to,
Sunglasses, probably, sunscreen,
sunglasses,
things like that.
Sunscreen and a hat.
And a hat.
That's really good.
Sunglasses, sunscreen, a hat. What about, are there mosquitoes? Are there bugs? Do people need like insect repellent?
There are mosquitoes. I always bring some bug spray, and it depends on the time of the year, but they come out more normally in the evening. And by the way, in Jerusalem, it's very cool in the evening, like 17, 18 degrees Celsius.
Even in the summer.
Even in the summer, it's cool in the summer in the evening, unless there's a hot wind.
And so it's hot in the day and cool in the evening.
Exactly.
That's desert weather, right?
In Jerusalem.
In Jerusalem. Okay.
But along the coast and in Tiberias, it's hot at night too, humid and hot, and it'll be very warm that time of year. There will be no rain, so you don't need to bring rain gear at all.
Okay. What about? I mean, this is not anything that's come in as a question, but just out of curiosity, and this is to either one of you guys. Is there anything that you would suggest reading or studying up on beforehand, just so that when you come to Israel, there's sort of some backstory, some context to what you're seeing, maybe from a historical standpoint, or what do you think, Harvey?
There's lots. I want to make sure people don't get inundated with a lot of stuff. There's a newer book by a rabbi named Daniel Kolenda, and I apologize, I can't remember the name, but you can get it on Kindle, and it's a concise history of Israel, and it's a really good snapshot of he brings it in a very concise way, so it's not a big long book. There's other ones that are longer, but you don't want to be bogged down in a lot of history, but you want to just have a good overview of the modern history.
Yeah.
And it answers, how did the Jewish people come back after 2,000 years? Like, we know from the Bible that God prophesied 2,500 years ago, I will scatter you and then I'll regather you back. We're witnessing that in our lifetime. That's a phenomenal thing.
Yeah.
That's only very recent in terms of the history of man. But how did God play out that story in the natural? So getting sometimes these, concise histories really help us understand, the process that God used, the context.
Yeah, that's excellent. Dad, you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I think Mr. Katz's recommendation of that book is a good idea, and I agree with him that you don't want to try to overload, but there are a lot of things that you could probably access on the internet, just short little pictorial and devotional kinds of things. Mm-hmm. Hang on, my screen just went dark. That you can access. I can even provide you some sort of materials to do that. I think I sent something to Jeremy that's very small that will address different places that we're going to go and scriptures about those places. So it's good to kind of think ahead and not be totally devoid of information. But yes, you can overload yourself. So
we'll put some of those links for those websites and stuff. Send those to us. We'll put those in the description and the comments and stuff.
I will do it.
Okay, that sounds great. So I want to make sure we keep moving here. For those of you that might be joining and wondering what we're talking about, we are doing a trip to Israel, the Experience Israel Tour and Conference, June 8th through 16th this year. Again, this is an extraordinary conference. It's not just, of course, I'm Daniel Kolenda. The ministry that I'm with is Christ for All Nations, but it's not just our ministry. There are a number of ministries that are joining together for this. For example, Todd White, Lifestyle Christianity, Michael Dow, Burning Ones, Eric Gilmore, Brian Guerin, Jenny Kutz, who's the granddaughter of Kenneth Copeland. Paul Maurer is going to be on there. He has Cover the Earth. Peter Vandenberg, and a whole host of others. And then when you get to the conference, then you're going to have speakers like Wayne Hillsden and Dr. Michael Brown and Scott Volk, worship with the Hillsong worship team, and Paul Wilbur leading worship. So we are talking about something that is much more than a typical tour. This is like an Israel tour conference on steroids. Everything that you've ever seen in a tour or a trip that you've thought was great, it's all put together in this one trip, and it's the trip of a lifetime. We're inviting those of you that still want to get in on this. The deadline is coming up. What is the actual deadline for this? March 8th, right? March 8th is the deadline for the full payment, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a second. But if there's any way that you can join us on this trip, I would encourage you to do it. You will not be disappointed. So I now want to just hand it over to Jeremy Leffler. He's here with me in our office, and Jeremy's the one that's been doing a lot of the coordinating from a logistical standpoint on behalf of Christ for All Nations and the other ministries that are represented. Jeremy, just take us through some of the practical stuff that we need to be prepared for.
Okay, and first of all, I talked to a lot of people that are registering for the trip, and some of them have been to Israel before, and they're really excited about this trip in particular. And Daniel mentioned that we have a lot of speakers going on the trip. They're going to be walking with us on the buses, and that's what I'm really excited about, is the dynamic that we have in this tour, where Daniel and Todd White and Brian Guerin and Mike Dow and all these different speakers are going to be on the tour. And so it's not going to be like a typical conference or a church setting where you hear them speak. You're actually going to be able to interact with them. And along the way, we're going to have several opportunities where they can share devotions. For example, Mount Carmel and the Mount of Beatitudes. And what's really going to be special is on the Sea of Galilee, where we'll all gather together as one group on boats on the sea, and we'll be able to worship and have a teaching, a devotion on the sea. So that's what I'm really excited about, is the different opportunities and the different scenarios that are going to be created to just experience Israel, but in a way that you've never experienced Israel before.
And we're gonna have Todd try walking on the water. Well, they're on the Sea of Galilee. We'll see how that goes.
But we've talked before about Todd, and it's gonna be special, and there's gonna be memories and stories that you're gonna come back with that, just thinking about it, we can't really comprehend and can't really grasp how special this trip is going to be. Not only do you have all the speakers on the tour with you that you'll be able to interact with, but also the conference that are a different set of speakers. And Hillsong London is going to be there, and Paul Wilbur. And it's just going to be a really anointed time overall that I believe anyone that goes on this trip, your life is going to be touched in a way that you haven't been touched before. And God is really just going to change you through this experience. Just to go through some of the tour packages that we have multiple different options, land-only package, land and air packages. We can coordinate your flights from wherever you are in the U.S. to Tel Aviv, whatever you need for the Israel tour to get there. The things that are included is the hotel accommodations, breakfasts, dinners, those are all included. Now you will have to buy your own lunches, Depending on how hungry you are during the day, this may be $10 to $15. There'll be water for sale on the buses, different areas where you can stop, refill your water bottles. And then the 3-day conference is also included in our tour package, so you get that included in there. And then when you go on the conference, that's built into our tour, so it's not like you're going to miss out on any of the tour. We'll have morning sessions for the conference, then we'll go through the afternoon, tour the city of Jerusalem, tour different areas, and then in the evenings we'll go back to the conference. And it'll just be a really heavily packed time, just where you're going to be blessed morning, afternoon, and evening throughout this tour and conference.
And just to reiterate, the conference is optional. You don't have to go. If
optional.
you're tired from the touring for several days, and you just want to sleep in the morning rather than going to a session, you're welcome to do that. It's made flexible. It's made to accommodate your schedule. We want it to be something that everybody really enjoys.
Yeah, all the ground transportation is included. All of your taxes, tips, everything is bundled into the tour packages that we have on our website, which will have that information on your screen so that you can get on the website and register. If you've registered already, this is just building the excitement to the actual Israel tour in June. If you haven't registered, I would encourage you to register soon. Get your payments in so that you can secure your spots, because this is a trip of a lifetime. And you really don't want to miss it. If you've ever had Israel on your radar, this is the time to go. It's going to be a really exciting tour and conference that we have packed in. One of the other things that I commonly get questions about is passports. You have to have 6-month validity on your passport. So if your passport expires before December 17th, 2017, you want to make sure you renew that very soon so you get it back in time for the Israel tour. Travel insurance is another thing that you want to take a look at. We recommend square mouth insurance. Mandatory, you need to have a health insurance or a health travel insurance for this tour. That's as little as $15 a person. You can also tailor your travel insurance to include cancellation of your trip so you would get refunded, and that may be $100 to $200 depending on what your tour package looks like.
And can they find this information on our website?
You can find all this information on our website. If you have questions, you can contact us at israel@cfan.org, and we'll put that on the screen as well so we can answer all your questions. Airport travel. If you're on the tour with one of our air packages that we have available, we will have staff at the airport so that we make sure that you get checked in, leaving from the New York area to Tel Aviv, and then we'll have staff on the ground in Tel Aviv to welcome you and greet you, get you on our tour buses to make the first transfer to the first hotel. So we really want to make this as easy and painless as possible, so that you can just go, enjoy yourself, and be blessed on this Israel tour. If you have children that you want to take along, that is perfectly fine. Any children that are 12 and under need to be accompanied by their guardian, and then they'll also receive a 25% discount when they're in a double or a triple occupancy room. And then, as Daniel mentioned at the beginning, our full payment deadline is March 8th. So you want to make sure if you haven't registered, you get registered before March 8th, get your payment in so that you can be a part of this amazing tour in Israel in June.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Now, once again, we want to take some of the questions that you have. So we've been collecting those, but I want to also just remind you that if you go onto the website, you can find a lot of this information as well. Which once again, the website is what?
Israel2017.org.
Israel2017.org. That should be right on your screen. Also, if you have questions that we don't address, you can email us at israel@cfan.org. That should also be on your screen. Or you can call us, and there's a phone number there where you can get in touch with us. So hopefully we'll answer your questions now. If for any reason we don't hesitate to get in touch with us or look on the website. So Jeremy, most of these are going to be directed towards you, but I'll shoot some to Harvey and my father as well. So first of all, can we book a flight from my hometown to the airport listed so I don't have to pay additional baggage fees?
Yes, we can do that. We have 4 different airlines, or 3 airlines, 4 options that we have as part of our tour. And when you register and select what airline you want to fly on, there'll be options. It'll be a little drop-down menu, and you can select your departure city. It'll add that to your total package price, and it'll all be taken care of. So, let's say, for instance, you're leaving from Orlando, Florida. You'll go to the airport, drop your bags off, and then you'll pick it up in Tel Aviv. You won't have to pick it up in New York, recheck your luggage. It'll all be taken care of you all on one ticket.
Great. Is there another trip next year?
At this time, we don't have another trip planned. It's a possibility, but really this trip, if it's on your radar to go to Israel, you want to make sure you can get on this trip this year in June.
Yeah, I would really encourage you. Some of you have been putting off a trip to Israel for decades. I would just encourage you, take a step of faith, step out there, do it. This is a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and there is no guarantee that this will ever happen again. So jump on it if you have a chance. Next question, can I bring my kids? I think you might answer this already.
Yeah, you can bring your kids. If they're 12 and under, they'll receive a discount, and then they also need to be accompanied by their legal guardian on the tour. So yeah, definitely.
Will we get to be baptized in the Jordan River?
Yes, we will have an opportunity. There may be an additional fee. It's approximately $10 to rent a robe, but I know Daniel's father, Daniel Jr., he's done a lot of baptisms. We'll have many of the speakers available to baptize you. That's going to be an experience to be baptized in the Jordan River. It'd be a real blessing.
Could I just jump in and add something to that?
Yeah, please.
If you do decide to do a baptismal, the robes that you rent at the Jordan River are, as soon as the water hits them, to become kind of transparent. So we encourage people to wear something underneath, a pair of slacks and a t-shirt, because that robe doesn't really do much.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Maybe we should start a business where we give out good robes at the Jordan River.
yeah.
That's an idea for you, Harvey. I know you got a business mind. Okay. Will we be able to swim in the Dead Sea?
Yes, we'll have an opportunity, and as Harvey and Dan mentioned before, that's a time when you want to have an extra bag, change of clothes, and definitely good water shoes or aqua socks because of the rough or rocky terrain going into the Dead Sea. It'll be more of a float than it will a swim, but we will have an opportunity to do that.
And the Dead Sea is amazing because those minerals in the mud. I mean, if you try to buy those at a like a beauty store, it'll cost you an arm and a leg. That stuff is literally like in the dirt there. You can just take it and cover your whole body in it.
And that's typically what people do when they get there. They'll take the mud, put it all over the faces, the body. In
fact, maybe I can have these guys put a picture up on the screen of me covered in mud. I entered my second childhood here, and it's a lot of fun playing in the mud when you're allowed to. Okay, here's a good question for you, Jeremy. What will a typical day look like?
So wake-up call will be roughly 6:30 a.m. We'll have breakfast from 7 to 8 a.m. Approximately, and then depending on what the schedule looks that day, the buses will leave somewhere between 8 and 9 a.m. From there, we'll tour, have times of ministry. For lunch, typically they'll stop around one of the site visits, so it's not too far away. We should arrive back at the hotels approximately 5 to 6 p.m., depending on what that day looks like. And then dinner will be roughly 6:30 p.m. After that, I know we're going to try to have some times where we all gather as a group. With our different hotel packages, some of us will be in different areas for the hotel, but we want to have opportunities where everyone that's on the CFAN Israel tour can come together, worship together, and just be ministered to together as one body, on the tour. So that'll be another thing that we have planned one evening on the tour stop. And then anything after the general dinner times, that'll be free times, so that you can go out and shop whatever's available at the site we're at.
Here's a question that I think is probably a good one for my dad to answer. Somebody wants to know about the quality of the accommodations and the food. Is this going to be like youth hostel type stuff, or is this pretty good quality?
No, the hotels are American standard stuff. They're very nice, very comfortable, very clean, and the food is excellent. The buffets at the breakfast and the dinner time are all you can eat buffets. It doesn't matter if you're vegetarian or what. There'll be plenty of food for everybody's likes and dislikes. Depending on the hotels that we stay at, I just don't know what they are, but some of them in the past have been kosher hotels, so actually you'll be eating kosher meals. But yes, you don't have to be reluctant about the hotels at all. You're going to be in first class accommodations.
Jeremy, someone's asking if we offer any discounts.
Yes, we have discounts for groups of 10 or more. So when you go on our website, register, there's an option to register as a group. This can be a family group, a church group, a group through your business, and that'll give you the opportunity to get a 10% discount going together as a group when you register on our website.
And Harvey, I know this has already been addressed by my dad briefly, but I have a lot of questions about this, and I think it's worth just reiterating a bit. What about the weather, and what about how to dress? Can we just make it real clear, like what are people supposed to be prepared to wear?
Right. So it's not going to rain. So right off the bat, you want to wear really lightweight. Even the kind of clothing you wear in Africa, really, for women and even men. If you go into holy sites, Jewish or Christian, you have to wear long pants, have your shoulders covered. I think it's good to have headwear, just from the sun. A good sun hat is really real. The sun's very strong there, and it can be really dangerous. So you want to make sure you're lathered up good, and really light wear, breathable, and to be covered up well. Short sleeve shirts are fine, as long as your shoulders are covered. And,
so should men bring shorts at all?
Yeah, no, you can bring shorts. What I like are those pants that they're long pants, but you can unzip the bottom, like so they can turn into shorts. So if you need
Transformer pants.
What do they call them?
I just made it up. I call them Transformer pants.
Okay. Those are very practical. You don't have. The other thing you don't have to do is you don't have to wear fancy clothes. So don't bring fancy shoes, and you can go pretty casual. Okay. You don't need ties.
What about like sleeveless shirts?
Yeah, you can bring sleeveless. What my wife does, she brings a pashmina. So when she goes into a place where you need she just puts a wrap over top of her.
So that sounds like it would be a good thing to have, just like, because you mentioned that a couple times now, like something like a scarf or a shawl, kind of?
That's right, yeah. Okay.
Do they need a jacket? Because you said it was cool in Jerusalem in the evening?
Yes, so I think a light jacket or even a light sweater would be good. It's not going to be super cold, but it can be a little chilly. Okay. So you might want to either put on a long sleeve shirt or a very, very light jacket.
And that brings me to another question for you, Jeremy. Is there baggage restrictions? I mean, some of these ladies might want to bring 6 trunks of shoes.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. We suggest 1 checked bag and 1 carry-on. You will be traveling.
Is there a weight limit? Because 1 bag means different things to different people.
Typical airline weight limits, 45, 50 pounds is what airlines usually allow on a checked bag until you have to pay additional fees.
Yeah.
But you also got to think that the tour buses we're on, they seat roughly 45 to 50 people with luggage, and we'll be taking those buses through the 3 different areas we'll be stopping at. So to accommodate everybody on the buses, we want to try to minimize 1 checked bag, 1 carry-on per airline standards, and that's what you're going to go through with when you're flying over there to Israel is additional baggage fees if you have more than 1 checked bag. And then your standard carry-on size bag.
So somebody says, I'm not sure what flight to take. Can I go ahead and make a deposit now and give you the travel details later?
Yeah, they can, absolutely. We have up until March 8th for our flight deadline. So if you select a flight and decide that's not really going to work out with your schedule, you can go back and change that on our website before that March 8th deadline.
But you don't want to wait too long because the seats may.
You don't want to wait too long. We are limited on the number of seats we have with each flight in each airline. So you want to try and firm up your travel plans so that we can make sure we get you on your preferred flight to Israel.
All right. I forgot my passport number, but I really, really want to go ahead and register. Can I go ahead and move forward and add my passport details later?
We really need to have that passport information so that we can book your flights. Now, one option you could have, you could purchase the land-only package with us and then manage your flight details on your own. And we have flight options as far as when you would need to arrive in Tel Aviv to coordinate with the ground transportation.
Okay, but once again, if they want to have the land and air, March 8th is the cutoff, right?
That's the cutoff, and we have to have your passport details by March 8th. That's our cutoff with the airlines. So after March 8th, we can't offer any land and air package because it'll be all booked.
You could do just land, worst case scenario.
Could do just land if it's available, if we have the room. But definitely, you want to make sure you get registered, get your payment in before March 8th. So we can secure your spot on our Experience Israel tour.
All right. Somebody wants to know if they can use their frequent flyer mileage if they travel with us.
With our tour packages, we cannot use your frequent flyer miles. That'll be something you have to book on your own through the airline itself. Now, you can gain miles if you have reward miles programs with the airlines that are part of our package. When you check in your bags for the trip, you can tell the gate agent, provide your frequent flyer number, and then you'll get reward miles from the trip. But we're not able to book your reward mile trip through our land and air package.
Are there any shots required?
There's no shots required to go.
No.
Take it back to Harvey.
Yeah. So this is a good one maybe for my dad. Do people need to have any adapters or converters for electrical devices?
Yes, they do. In fact, I think if you have like Apple products, those adapters should work. There's usually something that you have to plug that into. Actually, you probably would be more of an expert on adapters, but maybe we could even show some.
Yeah.
But yes, you do need to convert.
Well, I mean, do you want to say anything about that, Harvey?
Yes. There is the European standards. It's a 2-plug round. Most hotels will give you one for $5, but you can go to AAA or CAA, the travel stores, any of the travel stores. If you go in and you ask for an adapter, you don't normally need. It's $220.
I think it's $230.
Oh, is it $230? Okay. But you don't necessarily have to get a converter. You can just get an adapter for most products.
Yeah. And we'll put pictures of that up. You should actually see them right now on your screen. Just because some of you may not travel a lot, just to remind you, there's a difference between an adapter and a converter. An adapter just allows your plug to fit in the wall. It doesn't do anything about the currency. It just makes it fit. A converter actually changes the currency. So what I would tell you is if you've got like a blow dryer or some kind of an appliance like that, you probably need a converter. If you don't have to bring that stuff, I would encourage you not to. They probably have it in the hotel anyway.
All the hotels I've ever been at have had hair dryers.
Now, if you want to bring your computer or something, your computer will usually have a converter built into the power supply, so you don't need to convert the power, but you will need an adapter. So I would encourage you, I mean, for those of you that live in the States, you could probably get one at Walmart or Target or anywhere. I mean, they're not hard to find. Harvey, what kind of currency is accepted in Israel?
The two most common are U.S. dollars, the best currency to bring with you.
That's easy.
Yeah, and then
unless you're Canadian.
Yeah. I bring U.S. dollars.
Okay.
Shekels, there is Israeli shekels, and there are places where there's currency exchange. So you can, then you can do it all the hotels, and there's lots of places. They get lots of tourists, so there's lots of places. But I'd like to be prepared to come over, and I'd say between $300 to $500 per person.
Okay.
For your lunches, it's about $20 a day, $20-25 for lunch, plus whatever tips you want to leave, plus gifts.
Yeah, souvenirs and stuff.
Yeah, you can use Visa too.
Okay.
But
Credit cards are okay.
Yeah, credit cards work.
Okay. And is it safe? I mean, some people might be worried about, getting robbed. I mean, like somebody stealing a credit card number or something like that. Is it relatively safe?
I've never had a problem.
Okay. All right.
But check with your bank.
And let them know that you're going, right? Because if you don't let your bank know you're going, they may lock your card down when they see this transaction.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Call your bank.
Just look in the back of your card. There's usually a number. Call them and let them know you're going on a trip. They'll make a note and you won't have any problem. Harvey, another one, probably a good one for you. What are the physical requirements for the trip?
It's a lot of walking. It's about 10 to 15,000 steps per day, which is about 5 to 7 kilometers of walking, or 3 to 5 miles. Let's put it that way, of walking. But it's not hard walking. The other thing is there is a lot of uneven ground. If you're going to some of these archaeological sites, there's up and down. The ground can be uneven. So really good footwear, good walking shoes. Doesn't have to be fancy looking, but good. Hiking shoes are preferred, but a good tennis shoe can be working as well.
Now, what if somebody is concerned that they may not be able to, trek up some of these particular sites?
Not a problem. You can stay back at the bus or go part way and meet the team back, but just coordinate it with the group leader.
Okay.
It's not a problem. We've had that before as well, by the way.
Okay.
Where some people said, I'm just, not going to do this part. So they do part of it, and we have sites where we get back together with them.
So if they're not a Ironman, they'll make it.
Oh yeah, no, it's not that hard. We've had 80-year-olds come with us.
Yeah.
And loved it and kept up. Now they prepared by doing a little bit of walking beforehand, but you need a little bit of mobility.
Yeah. And remember that it's not just walking; it's walking in the heat. It will be
That's
quite
right.
warm.
So hydration is huge. Most of the buses over there have water to buy. It's $1 a bottle normally, and they just do it as a convenience. But you got to keep drinking. But your tour guide will not let you not drink. They'll make sure that you're hydrating frequently.
Yeah. And while you're speaking of hydrating, is it safe to drink the water?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not a problem. The water is very clean.
Okay.
You can drink tap water. Most people buy bottled water. Tastes a little better.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what about spiritual preparation? This is another one of the questions, Harvey. Is that what do you recommend for spiritual preparation for this trip?
I think praying into your trip, God honors expectation. Come believing and expecting to meet God there. And we've found that God always shows up on these trips. And you can't plan it. It's just an amazing thing. One guy came on our trip, and we were in the Teardrop Chapel in the Garden of Gethsemane. And while we were there, he saw these two ladies facing forward in white he thought they were nuns. So he took a picture of them. He put his camera down, and they weren't there. And I was with him, and he tapped me and said, "Did you see those two ladies?" I go, "There's nobody there." And we believe he had a vision of two angels, and he didn't realize it because they were there as clear as clear. He looked back in his camera, and there was no picture of them.
Wow.
So those are neat experiences.
Yeah.
But there's many things like that. There's too many even to recount. We've just had. It's very personal, and that's what I love about it. God meets us in a personal way, and it's different for everybody. But I can tell you, every trip we've taken, we've had people have come back and said it's changed their lives, and I think this trip's going to be even a phenomenal trip. It's spectacular. So we're really excited to be with you on this one.
Awesome. Dad, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I agree with Harvey, though, about the spiritual encounter. Somewhere along the line, you're going to have one. I just wanted to add something, though. It's just a little tip that we do a lot of times with my group is I'll have everybody that's in my group get a particular color of a ribbon, whatever you decide on, and put that on the handle of your suitcase. So when it's coming off the plane, you can identify it quickly. And because there's so many bags that look the same, so we've all put the same kind of ribbon on ours, and then we can grab them when they come off the plane. I don't know if you guys have provision for something like that.
Yeah, one thing we're going to do before the Israel tour, we're going to send packets to everybody that has general information, contact information in the States or when we're in Israel, as well as a daily itinerary, different preparation, different tips before you go. We'll add that, as well as making sure you have prescription medication, verifying your passport, has the 6-month validity, different information that, is good to know going into the trip, how to help you pack for the Israel tour so that you don't forget anything at home, and just different reminders so that it's a good experience. You don't have to worry about leaving something behind. We're going to try to make it as clear as possible. Everything that you need, everything that you may possibly need, so that you can be prepared and pack that before you fly out to Israel.
Wonderful. So for those that may be just joining us, we've just gone through the frequently asked questions and questions that you've sent in. And I just want to remind you, we're talking about the Experience Israel tour, which runs June 8th through 16th this year. This is not too far away. And the included Jerusalem Experience Conference, which runs the 13th through the 15th at the end of that trip. I'll be there with Todd White, Peter Vandenberg, Harvey Katz, and my father, who are on the line with us. Michael Dow, Eric Gilmore, Brian Guerin, Jenny Coots, Paul Maurer. In the conference, we'll be hearing from Paul Wilbur, Dr. Michael Brown, Wayne Hillsden, Caleb Meyer, Scott Volk, Alan Hirsch. Hillsong London will be doing worship. I want to remind you that March 8th is the deadline for full payments to be made. And is there anything else, guys, that I may have left out or overlooked?
One of the things that we've done on our trips is we've had lanyards with their names. So it has the, so that way when you run into people, there's going to be a lot of people. It's nice to be able to identify the person.
That's a great idea.
Yeah,
and
that's more.
Not keep asking, oh, what's your name again? It's, like, I know everyone's going to know you, Daniel. I'm not worried.
And I believe that's already included in the package.
That's already included in the package. We're going to have lanyards that'll be color-coded or significant to the bus that you're assigned to.
Excellent.
It'll have your name tag on it as well, so that you can see who's on your bus. And so when we're making sure everybody is on the bus before we leave for the next stop, that'll just help us identify everyone on our tour.
Yeah, and this is being organized. The logistics of this is being organized by stateside from Christ for All Nations, the land side in Israel from Sarel Tours, and these are two amazing organizations when it comes to organizing. Everything is going to flow very, very smoothly, and there'll be no bumps along the way. That's what I believe. So also I want to remind you about the websites. If you want to find out information, if you want to sign up, they can sign up on the website also, right? So that's Israel2017.org. It's there on your screen. Also, if you want to send in questions via email, you can email us at israel@cfan.org. There will also be a phone number there on your screen that you can use to get in touch with us. And I think we've covered all of it. If you're just now tuning in at the end of the broadcast, feel free to start it again and watch it. We've covered a lot of territory, and we're really excited about this. It's coming up soon. I think I speak for Harvey, my dad, everybody that's part of the team, that we can't wait for this. We fully expect it to be a life-changing, once-in-a-lifetime type of a trip, and I can't wait. And so, as we're finishing here, Harvey, can I just ask you to pray?
Love to.
Thank you.
Thank you. Father God, we're so grateful that we know you, the true and living God, and you are the whole purpose and reason. We love you, God. We thank you for Jesus Christ, who died for our sins and rose from the dead. And we are so excited. And I just pray for every person, Lord, that you'd guide them by your Spirit and bring those people who really need to have this experience, have a fresh touch from heaven, Lord, and to have an encounter with the living God. Because, Lord, you are the reason. while we're doing this trip. And we commit this trip to you and pray for each person, for their financial needs, for their spiritual needs, Lord God. We thank you for Daniel and the CFAN team who've worked so hard to put this together. We thank you for the Sorrel team. We thank you for Pastor Wayne in Israel for the conference, Lord God, and all the conference speakers. Father God, may your hand be upon it. May you direct it. May you be glorified. May you bring Jew and Gentile together to honor you through Jesus Christ, your Son. And we give you thanks in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you for joining us. I can't wait to see you, meet you, interact with you, and tour the Holy Land with you in just a few weeks from now. Don't hesitate to get in touch with us with any further questions. We'll see you soon. God bless you. Bye-bye.